Body, mind, and spirit. 3 factors that are crucial to living a healthy, happy life. We're here to help your mind and spirit. Now, let someone help your body. Ember Athletics provides personalized and comprehensive online programs you can use anywhere in the world at any time you want. I use them to prepare for my wedding, but they can help with so much more. Whether that's training for an event or challenge, getting your beach body, improving your health, or just about anything else. Ember Athletics customizes programs for your body, your health, your goals. Let Ember Athletics know you heard about them on this podcast, and you'll get a discount when you sign up for a program. For more information, go to www.emberathleticsofficial.com. That's EMBER athleticsofficial.com. Or you can call and text Chad, the head coach, at 602-628-9305. Welcome to Psychic Evolution with evidential psychic medium Jamie Clark and spiritual coach and healer Maggie Clark.
Welcome back to another episode of Psychic Evolution. I'm Jamie Clark.
And I'm Maggie Clark, and this is the podcast where you discover the psychic potential within to empower yourself and manifest your psychic and mediumship gifts.
And these abilities are so natural. They're supernatural. Today, we want to get into angels and near-death experiences. Our guest, Michelle Clare, has had a few near-death experiences and definitely strong connections to angels.
And Michelle Clare is a certified medium. And not only that, but she's a research medium for IONS, which is the Institute of Noetic Sciences. And recently, she was also heard on Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie. So welcome, Michelle. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you guys so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
We had you on season, was it 1? I believe it was. We had you on season 1, and we absolutely adore you.
Thank you.
Personally, professionally, we love the work that you're doing in the world. We love the light that you are in the world. We have not brought near-death experiences or angels to our listeners. And so today we really want to dig in a little bit to talk about what is a near-death experience. We know you've had several, so we really want to get you to explain to our listeners what they are, how they work, what did you experience when you were on the other side? And we just really would love to hear your story.
No, well, thank you. Yeah. So I've had a total of 3. The first one was in April 2000, and I was actually at the hospital that day because my niece was being born. So I was visiting my sister-in-law, and I went out into the hallway to talk to one of the RNs who was my friend from high school. And as I was talking to her, I had a massive seizure. I've never had one before, never had one after. But what I remember from that is I opened my eyes and I'm laying with my head in my grandma's lap. Now, my grandma had transitioned a couple years before this. So that's the word I used for pass away. She had transitioned. I open my eyes. My head is in her lap. She's kneeling. She looks like the healthiest, best version of my grandma I can remember. And I start looking around and I become aware that where I am, the walls are literally alive. It's all white, but it's as if each cell or molecule in the wall is breathing and radiating light and love and moving. And as I'm sitting here in this place with no time, feeling the most loved I had ever felt in my life, feeling 100% complete and whole, I look up next to her. And next to her, I see this angel that's about 12 feet tall. And I am just in awe of, number one, its size. I had always believed in angels, but I had never seen one before. She also was beautiful, glowing, radiant. And I went immediately to look at her wings because I expected to see feathers. But what I found was they were light. And it was almost as if they were like the aurora borealis. So they were moving and changing. They were translucent and iridescent, and they almost seemed to span eternity. And as I was looking at her, really just in awe of the moment, I thought to myself, what is your name? And she answered me in my head. She said her name was Madeline. And I realized, oh, she can hear what I'm thinking. I had not been aware of telepathic communication at that point. And I realized immediately she's one of my guardian angels. And I really just sat here in this place of love and connection with no hurry to leave, soaking it all in every moment. And the next thing I know, I hear them yelling, code, code, and I'm back in my body. And I would just remember my body felt so heavy and so dense. My arm felt like it weighed 100 pounds. Just trying to lift my arm seemed like it took so much effort. And I was back. And it probably took me a couple weeks before I shared that experience with my mom, because I didn't really know how to explain what had happened to me. I had never heard of near death experiences, but I knew it was very vivid. It was more real than my life is here. But I didn't know the words to describe it, or how people would hear that and be like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
It's funny, but every once in a while I'll see these new high-def TVs. It's clearer than this reality is.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that might be a kind of a reference of what you're making, is the clarity is pristine. There is just purity within that. And I think, like I do, that love, the fullness of the soul, that we don't have to be anything different but who and what we are, and we're completely loved and vibed with. And then getting the realization, the self-realization to go, okay, so maybe this isn't all a bunch of the, oh yeah, lovely stuff. It's, oh, this is real.
So I know you didn't start mediumship right after this experience, but when you came back, everything was heavy and weird. Did you have any longing to go back, or were you still like really determined, really connected here to this life, to this experience?
Yeah, I didn't have a longing to go back at that point in time. I was just kind of like, wow, what was that? That really opened my eyes. So I really feel like that was truly just an awakening and a connection to the angel realm for me, where I could say, holy cow, these are real, and they're here, and they're helping us, and they know what you're thinking in an amazing way, which I could have never said it before. So I didn't have a longing to go back, but I was definitely now aware on a whole nother level.
Have any of the angels ever taken you sauntering through heaven?
I do believe that I have had, I want to say, visits, out of body experiences without actually having to have the near death experience. So the out of body experience for me would be my soul gets to go and visit without the trauma that my body had to go through these other times.
Tell us about the next two experiences. What happened in those experiences?
Yeah. So the next one happened in May 2006. So about 6 years later. And my youngest son had been born. And after I had him in April, I had multiple complications. So I would be in the hospital on IV antibiotics for 5 days, out for 2, back in the hospital. So it was in and out for 6 weeks. Finally, in May, they said, we need to do a D&C, which is where they clear out your uterus, because they said, we don't know if we've left placenta or what the problem is here. The night before, I had this gut feeling I should not go in. And the doctor told me it's a 45-minute outpatient procedure. You're going to be fine. Nothing to worry about. This will clear you up. I went ahead and went against my judgment, and I went in. And the next day when I went there, I asked questions again, and once again was assured it would be piece of cake. So I do remember counting backwards for the anesthesiologist. And I will tell you, I've had surgery before. And whenever I've had anesthesia before, it was just this blank space and time. I don't have dreams. I don't remember traveling. I don't remember anything. It's just gone. But in this moment, I'm laying in there in the gurney in the operating room, and I see my beautiful white German Shepherd Tahoe, who had passed away a couple years before, walk in, lay her head on the gurney, look at me, because she always did that when she was here in a body, and we were gone. And we were on this phenomenal, phenomenal beach. Once again, every drop of water is alive and radiating light and love. The clouds are alive, the sky, the oxygen, the plants, the flowers. It's not even like saying the whole flower is alive. It's literally every cell or every molecule in each petal on each flower. It's beyond alive. Is really
It's life.
Yeah, it's beyond what we know as life here. And it's very hard to describe in our human terms.
And when you have that experience, you'll have no choice but to go, I don't understand it. I just experienced it. But that brings up such an interesting point to me is I'm the same way. Everything is alive. But in addition, now scientifically, they're validating a lot of this consciousness exists everywhere and is everything. So it's really cool to bring up the fact that one, your beautiful baby came up to lay their head on your lap, I guess, on the table
Mm-hmm.
there. I wonder how many of us have those circumstances and never even realize that that's happening.
Right. Absolutely. Probably many, many of us.
Well, we know the near death experiences, you said time doesn't exist. So you have
Right.
no idea how long you were there. And it doesn't even matter, which that in of itself just sounds like a luxury in my world. Time not mattering. Do you remember anything else about that experience? Or do you remember waking up? Or how was it as it kept going?
Yeah. So as I was there with my dog on this amazing beach, we were just running and running on the beach. And I remember feeling that the sand didn't feel hard like it does here by the ocean. Like we felt like we were running on clouds, basically. And I remember looking at her again, having telepathic communication, knowing she was so happy to see me. She was enjoying our time together. She looked young, vibrant, healthy, all of these amazing things. And I was noticing that as we kept running, we didn't get hot, we didn't get tired, we didn't get thirsty. And I was kind of like, wow, this is interesting. And part of the funny thing about this near death experience is that I personally hate to run. So I often tell people, if you see me running, call 911. So here I am
You
in my
beat them
near.
to it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I was already there. No need to call. I was there. I'm running. And as I'm actually running with my dog on the beach, this time I realized that things are happening in multiple levels for our souls. At the same time, what I realize is my son, who is energetically connected to me, is scared that I'm going to leave him. He's 6 weeks old. And so my soul is taken to his. And I remember telling him, I will find a way to stay. And I start praying and I start asking for help and I start asking for a miracle. It's not my time. I'm not ready. At the moment that I start praying, I see the Christ consciousness light up the operating room. And I can feel Jesus's presence.
What
And I
color?
know it was a whitish golden light, mostly gold, but there was white in it too. And I know I'm going to be able to stay. And so the next thing I know, I'm waking up and I'm in the post op and I look at the clock on the wall. And it had been 3.5 hours since I'd gone in for my 45-minute surgery. And what I found out was they had ruptured my uterus and missed my aorta by a millimeter. It was so close they couldn't even stitch it. They had to pack it. And when they called in the emergency laparoscopic surgeon, the other surgeon ruptured my uterus in a second place. So my 45-minute procedure turned into a 3.5 hour emergency surgery.
Wow.
And 3 days later, the emergency surgeon came in and said to me, Michelle, someone was watching over you that day. You should not be here. And I absolutely knew then at that moment, not now I know angels are real. Now I know Jesus is real. Now I know that your soul, so this was really important, not just my soul, but everyone's soul has the ability to usher in a miracle, because that's truly what that was for me. And I was able to see now too that my soul could be in more than one place at a time. I was absolutely running on the beach with my dog. And yet at the same moment with my 6-week-old son, who was really scared I was going to leave the earth plane.
Is that powerful? Multidimensional being at the same time without losing your mind. You're finding your soul. That's
Mm-hmm.
powerful.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm like just
How it goes.
tearing up just listening to this story. This is, oh my God, heart wrenching and perfect and pure and brilliant all at the same time. Wow. Oh my gosh. Those takes are huge. I mean, huge to
Yeah.
have the awareness and the knowingness of angels, of Jesus, of no time, of soul connections, of miracles, of being in more than one place at the same time, of being conscious of all these things.
Honestly, I think it took me months to digest it and to unpack it and to understand it. And each time that I had a near death experience, I would say my mediumship skills were increased, but I was never ready to accept that. So I'd keep going back into my, oh, I'm a stay at home mom, I'm a mom role, and I would kind of ignore them. Even though I knew without a doubt there was so much more. And the amount of love, connection, and completeness for every single one of us is beyond. our wildest dreams. It truly is.
And when you feel that firsthand experience, now it's real because it moves from that, oh, it's love and it's light to it is. And not only that, that love is the life itself and it allows everything to be within it. And now you kind of bring up an interesting point. You're now being acclimated and activated to the other dimensional frequencies that you're funning around in. Isn't that interesting? Have you possibly, through over the years, pulled through maybe some other beings that have been on some of the other channels while you've been soul sauntering?
Hmm. I believe I have. Not in the
Can
near
you
death
share anything that?
experiences. I will tell you, I feel like I get information from what we call aliens at times. I will tell you, I get information obviously from loved ones, from different animals, from different energies, such as different planets have different energies to them, right? So a consciousness, realizing that everything actually has a consciousness.
And I think when you're able to saunter through those ethers and those levels of consciousness, you find more of yourself. You don't lose yourself. And I think that along the lines, because I love doing the scientific stuff, is it puts more quality and dynamics to go, yeah, but we're now scientifically validating life is eternal, right? We're eternal beings. Let's keep moving along. Because I love that because it's the old adage that, that we are eternal beings. And now quantum physics validating scientifically that energy can either be created nor destroyed means we're eternal. But not only that, as things have moved along, going, well, wait a minute. If we're eternal and this universe has only been here 14.2 billion years, then we're not from this universe. Yeah, exactly. Have
Right.
you been shared any cosmic truths, any cosmic awareness that maybe you weren't aware of before, that through these experiences you've gained wisdom or brought some more people onto your team?
Yeah, a lot of times I'll tell you that when I'm connecting with spirit, sometimes I don't specifically get for myself, when I'm connecting for myself, I don't specifically get a name, a face, a planet, but I get an information, a knowing, or a connection. Right. And so when I open up and I say, okay, so I love to do this every morning. I say, okay, spirit or God, whatever I'm in the mood to say, what do I need to know today? And then I just give it this blank slate. Okay, they're going to tell me. Some days it feels very profound. Other days it's like, Michelle, today you need to live. You need to be present in the moment. And so, but every day I open up my life to a guiding force higher than what I know how to create here.
And apparently continue to be able to do that. So now it seems like you're creating a self-fulfilling prophecy because you're on that channel of safety, harmony, love, and integration. So you keep attracting more people, more beings, more experiences to vibe with that very energy intent that you're thinking, feeling, and knowing. I think that's kind of the universe it's all alive, it's all energy, it's all consciousness. And when you can go into those different frequencies, you can start to vibe with them and tune into them because it's always playing. As soon as you're connecting, you're always connected. That kind of a versatility is huge.
So tell us about your third near death experience.
All right. Third time was a charm. I have 14-foot ceilings in my house. So I was up on a ladder about 10 feet off the ground. I have 12 feet up. I have candles that every night they come on by themselves. So they're battery operated and they just give a nice little warm glow. And my kids were 5, 8, and 10 at the time. And my 2 younger ones were home. And I said, as soon as I get up here and put this up in the candle holder, we're leaving to go get your sister. So I climbed up the ladder and I literally remember getting toward the top and feeling it shift. And I thought, well, this is going to hurt. Like I just knew this is gonna hurt. And the next thing I know, I am literally ripped out of my body, not in a painful way, but my soul is just taken out. And I am facing my body and the ladder suspended in the air. And I'm standing with these 3 people, 2 men and 1 woman. I don't recognize them. I feel like I've known them forever or like they're close friends or family. And as I'm watching my body in the ladder, I keep thinking like, oh my gosh, I'm going to hit the floor in a second or less. And they basically said to me, Michelle, what do you want to do? Do you want to stay or do you want to go? And once again, I'm in this timeless space with forever to decide. So my human mind is going back and forth. How can I have forever to decide when my body's going to hit the floor in 1 second? I keep going back and forth in my mind about this. And at that moment, I see this phenomenal angel, not the same one from my first near death experience, the second one, come in. And I see this angel, and I realize that this angel is here to do what I need to do. So if I decide to go home, I'm going home immediately with this angel. And if I decide to stay, this angel will make something happen so that I can stay. And as I stood there with these three people who I now know are my life guides, but at that point in time, that was not a word I had ever heard. So I didn't know who these beautiful human looking people were. I saw my two younger kids. And when I saw my two kids, I knew I had to stay. And in that moment, it was as if I was told a million things in 1 second. I was told, okay, you can stay, but guess what? No more just plain stay-at-home mom. Time to come back and do more. like, yes, that's a big part of who you are, but that's not all of who you are. And I really was given information that I was going to be expected to do more, that I was going to be asked to help people in a way that only I can. So not that I'm the only medium, but we all have our own flair, our own energy, our own vibration. So even if you have 10 mediums lined up, we each help a person differently, depending on how we connect with them, right? And so I was given so much information. And I don't even think to this day I remember all of it. But I just knew I was coming back and my life was going to be forever different. And a lot more was expected out of me, but I was going to be able to stay. So I fell. I hit the back of my head on the corner of my granite counter. I lost my taste, my smell, my hearing, part of my vision. I had, my equilibrium. I had a 5.5-inch skull fracture that went from the base of my skull all the way up my head. I had a brain bleed. And what I found out a day or two later was that I had survived the fall by 1/2 inch. I missed my brainstem by 1/2 inch. And I knew without a doubt that angel had moved my head a 1/2 inch. And so after that, it took a while. Obviously, I had some stuff going on. But a few months later, I started, I'll share this with you. So my son, who was 5 at the time, we believed his 911 call did not go through, but my daughter, who was 8, hers did. This happened for people who like numbers on 11, 111. So there's a lot of ones right there. And then in the end of January, my son, who was 5 at the time, started getting depressed because he said, Mom, I didn't do anything to help you. And he would tell my mother-in-law, my mom, anyone who would listen would say, but Josh, you opened the door for the policemen. Like you let them in the house. That was very helpful. And he couldn't feel any, I don't know. He had lost a piece of himself to that. And so finally, at the end of January 2012, my grandfather, who had transitioned, passed away when I was 12 years old, came through to me. And he talked about my head injury. He talked about my son. And they never lived on this earth at the same time, many, many years apart. And he talked about my son being good with electronics. And then he said to me, Michelle, you need to get the 911 recording. There's something on there you should know. I didn't even know I could get that. So I ordered it. It came in a couple weeks later. And the first call goes through and they say, 911, what's your emergency? And you hear my son in his little broken voice say, Sophie, what do I say? And then he lays the phone down. And for the next minute and a half, the operators try to get his attention. And then you hear him say he's going to push the panic alarm on the house alarm. And she says, hold on, let me try calling 911. She hangs up the phone and then her 911 calls goes through. So by the end of January, oh my gosh, like a relief, unbelievable, surreal. It was unbelievable. And so when my son came home from kindergarten that day, I said, Josh, your 911 call went through. And it was as if I had lifted this 10,000-pound weight off this little boy and literally changed the course of his life because he knew he had done something to help me, something that no one here on earth had thought of doing. My grandfather came through and was able to guide me in that.
Now, after your grandfather came through, and obviously you needed some time to heal, some time to recuperate and process all that you had went through, what was then the vision of you becoming a psychic medium? Like what came as like, obviously your team and this beautiful angel's like, you got some stuff to do, girlfriend, you better go do it. So at what point did you start actually like discovering that you could do this work?
Right. So over the next couple of months, I would just get downloads where people would just come through to me and give me a ton of information. And I felt like I had no control over it. So actually, my next step was counseling because I needed to know that I was okay and that this was good. And so I found this phenomenal counselor. And she was just like, Michelle, this is such a gift. You have to learn how to grow this and help people with that, which led me to a phenomenal mentor who you might know, Maggie. His name is Jamie Clark.
Yeah.
And
And
Jamie and I worked together for years, and he's literally helped me hone this and understand it and know how to use this to help people.
And so once you had a little bit of training, once you got your confidence that you could really do this and really kind of control it, have safety parameters, understand what was happening, be comfortable in that. At what point did you feel like, oh, now I think I'm ready. I could do this professionally? Because that's such it's a switch from actually being a medium and having the gift and cultivating that gift to, okay, now I really want to serve humanity with my gift. And I want to do this in a way that also helps me, with my life and how I need to be in my life as well. How did that come about? Was it a conversation you had? Were you pushed? Were you encouraged? What did that feel like?
Well, Jamie was very encouraging. He kept
Yeah.
telling me things like, the universe is waiting on you. Get out of your own way.
Speed it up. Let's
Yeah,
go.
exactly. It was phenomenally encouraging. But actually, I think I mentored with him. I don't even know how many years, but it was years. It was years. And then what I decided to do was I started doing readings on friends, friends of friends, people I didn't know. So I spent a year doing readings for free because I just needed to prove to myself that my information was as accurate as I thought it was. And then after that, I started going into business and I started charging and reading for people who I did not know.
Were you able to do that fairly easily?
I was.
Because for me, that's a great thing. You established this dynamic later in your life. I'm seeing so many people that now in later years are being activated with their abilities. Are you running into more people as you move along that are not necessarily like the oddballs like me doing it from childhood? I just got turned on and it's just been happening. Have you seen an increase with that? And are you able to assist those people or connect with them more for directions and insights?
Yes, I've absolutely seen that. And I think people are getting turned on for different reasons and for no reason at all. It just seems to be. I have one client who's going through a Kundalini energy awakening right now. And she's kind of like, I have no idea what's happening. And then there are other people that either through loss of a loved one or from a near death experience or just from the way the world is going, there's an awakening happening across this planet. And it's time because the truth is, we're all having a spiritual experience here. We're not here and we're spirits enjoying the human body, the human plane for a while, but it's spiritual. And so the minute that we can step out and reconnect to who we truly are, it all opens up for us. And at that moment, we say, there's more, there's more.
Now, working with the angels, how do you know what angel is coming to you? Is it all telepathic? Do you hear very specific phrases, words, sentences? I just want people to know how easy it is. I feel like it's easy when you're hearing the message, but I want our listeners to know how easy it is from your perspective.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's pretty easy because connecting with angels is the same as mediumship. It's the same as connecting with, I often say it's like when you look at your kid or your dog and you're like, oh, I don't think they feel good. And 10 minutes later, they throw up. You're like, oh, well, you just connected with that energy. All right. You know what I mean? And so it's very similar to that in a better way, though, right? No vomiting necessary. But it's going to be about just so when I want to connect with my angels, I'll say, give me a word, give me a sentence, give me a color, give me a scent. I open up all of the ways that they can connect with me. And so it doesn't have to be difficult. It's more about being relaxed. And the more relaxed you can be in the moment, the easier it's going to flow to you. So when we put a lot of stressor and pressure on ourselves, we have to get this message right here, right now. Oh my gosh, it's like freezing up the line. But when you can relax into it, it flows more effortlessly. And I will tell you, I connect a lot with the archangels too. And sometimes it's a word, sometimes it's a sentence. It depends too, because they come in a lot when I'm working with my clients. So I'll have messages, oh, okay, right now you have Archangel Michael working strongly around you. However, what I have noticed with our angels is they're like our whole spirit team. We have some that will stay with us for our whole life. Other ones will rotate in and rotate out depending on what we're working on.
If people want to connect with their angels, and for me, I have to really be in a really good heart space. Like I have to have a really open heart.
Mhm.
But do you have any tips and tricks for our listeners on how to get to that place of relaxation? Because I know this is one of the moments of frustration for people who are developing is that they want it all today.
Mhm.
So how do we encourage everyone to be patient with this process and to learn how to relax into it?
Absolutely. So, one of the things that Spirit gave me the visual of about maybe 2 months ago was really aligning. And I had never thought of it this way, but in our minds, we actually have a heart energy, right? We have oh, that thought feels good. That thought feels bad. This is right. We love, we don't love. We have this heart energy in our mind. And what Spirit was showing me, which I really think if we can use this visual, kind of helps take the pressure off, aligning the heart in our body with the heart in our mind, with the heart of the universe. And so when you're really going to that place of love, seeing that all line up, seeing them beating together, right, in unison, and really letting that energy of love, connection, that pulse of the universe flow through you. And when you're in that space, it actually helps bring in messages, connections with loved ones, angels, life guides, all of the above. And the other thing I would say is it's going to be as hard or as easy as you make it. So a lot of times, I will tell you, angels have phenomenal senses of humor. Sometimes my angels speak to me with emojis. Like I'll throw up a question and they're like, hey, 2 thumbs down. I see, like, so I'm just like, okay, awesome. They hated that idea, right?
At
But
least you know. It's just
but I
straightforward.
know. And so I would say do it with fun and in a way that works for you. So it's not always like, it's always divine guidance. It's always out of love, but they're very funny and they play with your human energy. And so there are times where they give me an emoji instead of a yes or a no. You know what I mean? So be open to how they're going to communicate with you. And sometimes you are driving down the street, there's a billboard and there's this one sentence that just jumps out to you. Yes, that can be your angel telling you that one thing. Are you literally feeling it? You say, oh my gosh, that is for me. Absolutely. So really being open to and not taking it seriously. It has to be just right. I have to have the candles lit, the meditation music playing, the room, all of that. No. They'll talk to you wherever you are. Wherever you are.
Because there is no time. It's all happening now.
Yeah. Exactly. And they don't really feel like waiting till you get home, dim the lights in the room, light 10 candles, and sitting there oming. They're like, no, we need to tell you this now.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah.
But I think that also brings up another interesting dynamic is they already know you're already tuned in. It's just our own awareness to get ourselves to tune into that we're receiving the signals. Do you have any other meditations, any other techniques that you do to allow you to open up even more powerfully and safely, possibly more interdimensionally in different ways? How does
Mhm.
that work for you?
Yeah, I love singing bowls. Absolutely love singing bowls. So to me, when I see singing bowls working on people, I feel like it kind of helps fracture the junk we don't need to carry anymore and clean it off. And so I love singing bowls. That's my favorite meditation because I just feel like they take me to a place where I have complete focus and clarity and all the junk falls off and I can truly connect with the soul that I am.
Beautiful.
Now, besides the three near death experiences where there was, there was the angel in the first one,
Mhm.
and there was the angel in the last one. And in the second one, your dog was there.
I didn't see an angel in that one. That was the one I connected with the Christ consciousness and Jesus in.
Right. Oh my gosh,
Oh
awesome.
yeah, that one.
That
That
one.
one, a
Oh
little thing
yeah,
like that.
that other one. Yeah.
But let me just mention this since we're bringing that up right now. I want to tell you that the energy of Jesus was not bow before me, the master is here. The energy was, I am your friend and I am here to help you. It was
Right.
such a different energy than I had been raised in a religion to expect. So beautiful.
What other aspects have shifted from your religious awareness and the experiences that you had? Did anything else shift for you?
Just realizing that we all have so much help available to us, right? And that we really are part of the one. So I was raised Catholic, angels, saints, Mother Mary. You know what? They're all really here to help us. And it doesn't matter if you're raised Catholic or not. They don't care. They're like, hey, let me help you if you need help. So I really realized that we can ask for help and that help will be given. Now, sometimes we want to be really specific on where we're asking, like we will pray, Jesus, please, blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? But then other times we just say, most of the time now, I don't even get too specific. I just say, I need help. I need guidance. And I know that a being of light, Jesus, an angel, whoever, my life guides will be helping me with that, whatever that is. So what I realized with that was we are all here souls having experiences, right? So after my third near-death experience, what I really was able to do was to come back and look at people instead of saying, why does my friend always date such terrible people? Say, oh my gosh, I wonder what their soul is trying to learn, and see it from a soul level instead of a human level.
Have you ever seen an angel with these physical eyes, like in this reality, come manifest, like in some kind of presence or some kind of maybe even like a light or an orb? Have you ever seen
Yes.
anything? Yeah. What was
Yeah.
that like?
So I've seen orbs, and they're amazing. The energy is just like, oh, you just want to get swallowed up into it. I mean, or at least that's how I felt. And I've also had a vision. So it wasn't in my room, but one night I was at my house and my neighbor was having a really tough time going through cancer treatments. And they gave me this vision of there were these four huge angels in her house, and they were making a tone. So it was like, it's not a hum, but it was a tone. It wasn't words. And they were literally ushering peace and healing into our house. So I was able to almost remote view them, if you will, at that point in time. So yeah, they're always connecting with us. But yes, like the big eye behind you, there are times when I'm meditating and I feel like there's just these beautiful eyes of love just looking right at me.
Because they are.
Mm.
We're eyeballing you. Now, here's an interesting thing. Right around now is a dynamic that I think a lot of people are kind of questioning, and that is the aspect of extraterrestrials and our loved ones, and the ability that we aren't alone on this planet. Has anything been shared with you about maybe JC on other worlds and maybe other dimensions and other angelic beings like these that are on other worlds? How does
Mhm.
that work?
Yeah, I absolutely believe there are those energies in other worlds. Now, they might not look like we perceive them as human, because if my angel had shown up in my near death experience with 8 heads and 12 arms, I would have been like, what is that? Because
Right.
my
Comfort.
yes, my comfort was not there. I would have thought that was an alien abducting me, not an alien or an angel taking me home, right?
Both started with an A. Hey.
Yeah, hey,
Hey.
yes, but those energies are everywhere on all planets, in all dimensions, in all universes. They will always meet us at the point that makes us feel comfortable. So they will appear to us in the way that we find comfort, not fear.
Right where we are. And it's all about the comfort of the love. And I think that that brings up another dynamic. Some of the scientific studies that we have done is we've made conference calls, like one tuning in session, we were talking to extraterrestrials, loved ones, Jesus, the Christ, Archangel Michael, a variety of other beings that are powerful in an amazing way. There's been just one time that I've connected with Metatron, and that it was freaking crazy cool and amazing. I'm driving down a highway and in the back seat and in my mind sight, but in the back seat area manifests this big energy of a guy, great beard, must look human and all that. But he felt, I could feel the universe through him. It was just, I'm like, wow, besides JC Jesus, I haven't felt that with other people, other beings in that way. But to feel the unification of the universe, to me, kind of brings up that point to go, right, heaven as we know it is on all planets, depending on what your perspective, what your species looks like, all that kind of stuff. It stays comfortable. But I think that bringing up that soul connection also is something that was interesting to me, that in doing this psych medium stuff most of my life, I brought through so many little babies who didn't necessarily make it to the full term here, and beautiful animals who didn't necessarily understand all of the vibrational patterns on the ear knobs, in English in this case, to talk. But when I do mediumship and they're coming through in that way, they're talking to me like adults in English. Have you been given any insight as to why some of the things are the way that we were being shown in beautiful religions? And then maybe the realization of what they are now with what we're gaining with these changes?
Right. Well, it's interesting because when you talk about religions, right? Never before that I'm aware of has religion been shut down for 6, 8, 10 months at a time, like it was through COVID, right? And so, although we have these beautiful religions that are arrows pointing the way, there are some things that don't resonate for everyone in them. And so, I think there's a lot of beauty in each religion. But what I would say is, COVID gave people the chance to think for themselves. They got to take six
They
or
had
eight
to.
months off of church to say, but what does my heart say? What does my soul say? What does my connection with God look like?
That's that tipping point of 51%. That's why the
Mm-hmm.
entire planet was affected that way. That way there was no, major pockets of nothing. It became a balanced unification, a conscious shift. I'm seeing a lot more people along those lines tuning in, becoming more psychic mediums and just naturally activating. But I'm also seeing a lot more people with the quickness of everything. Now we've got so used to quick responses. 10 seconds. Are you crazy? What the?
Right.
And it's just a whole shift in energy. Have you allowed yourself to relax into life more, maybe with what you know now, with the experiences that you've had and our day to day life and stresses and all that? Has that given you the ability to maybe see your own life experience a little bit differently? Maybe a
Yeah.
little less and more of like, okay, doing the best that I can.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing I will tell you, I do not fear death. I have no fear of death at all. Um, I know where
Is
we're
that
going, and
nice?
I know it's so great there. We're not, but let me be clear, we're not in a hurry to get there, but we're all going. So there's this part where it has helped me to relax into my life a little bit. It's brought in new opportunities, which have been amazing. But I'm also able to let go of things that I wouldn't have before, and I'm really able to live a more spirit led life than human led life. And there's so much peace in that.
Beautiful. Do you work with the angels to help amplify your energy to make you possibly a little bit more receptive, a little bit more clear? How does that work for you?
Yeah, absolutely. So, since I've been practicing mediumship, I work with my angels all the time. They help me in my readings because they help me be a clear channel for the information that's coming through. I also know that they know who to bring through in the readings for the person sitting in front of me. So it's not random. It might seem random where I just open up and I'm like, okay. But at the same time, I know at the same time I'm supported by Jesus and the angels, and they're helping me bring in the people that this person in front of me needs to hear from.
You're bringing up a very interesting point. Anybody who's coming through to you is apparently only on that good channel, or JC and the angels wouldn't be hanging out there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I do not get funky low energy
Why?
because it's part of my rules, right? They have to be able to vibrate at the level I'm vibrating at or higher to be able to connect with me. So, does that mean everyone who's coming through is a saint? Absolutely not. But just think of the vibration that planet Earth holds, right? Anywhere from Hitler to Jesus Christ and everyone in between and beyond. Yes.
Yeah, that's such a great point to bring up only because we have so many people that ask us what safety rules and regs do they need to set and how do they work. So when you're getting ready to do a mediumship reading, do you have to call them in or is it already established because you're working with them all the time?
Yeah, it's already established. It already is. I never have to do that every day. It's they're going to be there, they're going to show up, they're going to guide me every step of the way.
Do you have clients that walk away from sessions that might be activated in some way, or has something along those lines happened?
Yeah, absolutely. I've had one that went home and was just like, "Oh my gosh, after I saw you, this happened and I knew this and all of a sudden I had this sign." And so there is something about opening yourself up to that energy or that vibration, right?
Yes.
And being able to sit in it with an open mind and an open heart and know that as a medium, I'm not making a connection that you can't make, right? And so a lot of times people will say to me, tell my mom I love them. I
I'm
don't
like,
need
you
to.
just did.
Yes, exactly. I can help you interpret the answer until we get you to that point. But you actually don't need a medium for your loved one to hear you. They're a thought, a word away every second.
Has there been any times where you've had fun with the other side in a way of your loved one's family here, like that you guys would have an inside joke or that they would do something playful to a loved one, like, just move a hat or something? Has anything ever happened like that with you, or have you ever heard of that?
Actually, after my mom transitioned, 3 days later, I was on the phone with the church to see if the reception hall was available. And they said, oh, we're closing right now. We'll put you through to voicemail and call you back in the morning. And so what happened was they put me through and I was listening to the message. Then I heard static, silence. And then I heard my mom's voice come out of my iPhone, not out of my head, like mediumship, right? Come out of my iPhone and say, hello. And it was young and peaceful and healthy. And then I heard silent static and it was gone. And it literally shook me to the core because I was not expecting to hear it. And it was truly her voice.
You knew her voice, literally able to soul print that connection. I think that that's another thing that I'm really enjoying with the science is all of these different dynamics that we're doing is putting more of the practicality of spirituality. We're scientifically validating consciousness exists beyond bodily death and that everything's energy and consciousness and all that. I'm excited to see where else we're going because we are so much more than what we're aware of even now.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really excited to see the evolution of this entire planet because we are at that tipping point of 51%, which is why the entire planet's consciousness has been reset through circumstances and experiences. Have you been shown or shared any insight, or have you gained any insight about possibly over the past couple of years and humanity and what's been going on and not been going on? Have you gotten any insight?
Yeah, I absolutely feel like we are moving through the eye of the needle right now. So we are letting go of the chunks that no longer serve our highest good. We are streamlining energy and consciousness. And this is all really, in my opinion, to get us to the next level as a planet, as a consciousness. So I think of it a little bit when you go out and you have a picnic and you have this blanket, before you fold it up, you shake it off, right? Humanity is shaking off. We're shaking off the crumbs. We're shaking off the excess. We're shaking off what we no longer need. But that's because we're getting ready to step into a higher consciousness or vibration.
I think someone needs to get the bulldozer out and hurry this thing along. No,
Yeah.
just kidding. Oh, so let them know what your website is. We'll put all of this in the show notes as well so they can check it out.
Yeah, thank you. My website is MichelleClare, CLARE.net, and you can email me through there, schedule through there. I have a lot of information.
And what does your membership include on your website too? How can people really jump into more of Michelle because you're awesome?
Well, thank you. Yes, I have 3 different tiers. So depending on which one you pick, the highest one has actually a gallery reading at the end of the month. It includes a webinar class. It includes a Facebook Live. So I'm pretty accessible. When you want to find me, you'll be able to find me. And I love that because I love the lives. I love being able to connect with people one-on-one. A lot of times people don't need a whole hour. They're like, hey, I just have a question. There you go. That's where you step into these things. And it's basically like having your own medium without having to make much of a time or money investment.
And do you have any upcoming events in September, October, the rest of the year?
I do, yes. Check out my website. I have online events and in-person events. We're looking at putting together a retreat probably in October, but all of that will be under the events section.
Awesome. And if there was one thing that would help people develop their psychic evolution, one little thing or several, what would that be? If you had one thing to deliver, just this is what you should do, or this is
Mhm.
how you should be, what would that message be?
It would be to be open-minded and make time every day for your soul to connect. So I think our souls do this naturally. People think we have to sit in silence for meditation, but for some people, it's a hot shower or going for a run or driving their car. So your soul builds in these moments every day where you get the opportunity to connect and meditate. Meditate, I use that word loosely, but connect to source, right? Be open-minded. Go into those moments as a blank slate. What do you have for me today? What do I need to know? Instead of going in there with stress and pressure and I must have the winning lottery ticket numbers today. No, that's not going to work well. Instead it's going to be go into it open-minded as a blank slate and see what spirit has for you or your loved ones, because none of us are living this life alone. We are all surrounded by our loved ones, our angels, our beings of light that are helping us through this. They want to talk to you. It's about creating the time to listen and receive.
And truly just a thought away. It's that quick, that powerful.
So you can check all our episodes out on your favorite podcast platform. We also have a Facebook group page called Psychic Evolution. So we're building a beautiful community of everyone developing psychic gifts, mediumship gifts, and shoot us a message there. Join the community. Let's have some fun and let's just get together. We also have a Supercast page if you want to enjoy extra content, meditations monthly, and also the full episode, unedited, uncut. Check that out on Supercast. Again, that's all in your show notes. And until next time, enjoy your psychic evolution.